So today we're focused on 11D notes, simple interest. Our learning target is to solve saving and loan problems involving simple interest. One of the very few words that we really have to know is interest, which is the cost of borrowing money. When you borrow money, you're responsible to pay the interest back. So let's look at an example that focuses on interest and money. Suppose you want to buy a used car that costs $4,000. You can pay $400 now, which is the down payment and upfront payment that you have, and borrow the remaining $3,600. To pay off the loan, you will pay $131.50 each month for the next 36 months. So, since we didn't have the $3,600, we went to the bank, asked for a loan, and they gave us a plan, which is $131.50 each month for 36 months. So, how can we put that into an equation? So, we know that we're paying upfront $400. Okay, we know the bank gave us a plan or a loan where we have to pay $131.50 for 36 months. So now let's multiply that together, okay? So we're gonna get $4,734 plus our upfront or our down payment, and that together is gonna equal $5,134, okay? So as you can see, we did end up paying a little extra rather than the actual $4,000 for our vehicle. Now we're gonna see why, okay? So how much will it cost you to borrow the money for a car? So remember, we borrowed money, so we're gonna pay interest. So we're gonna see how much more we paid than we needed to, okay? So we know we paid $5,134 with our loan. We know the car originally cost $4,000. So let's subtract that together, okay? So at the end, we're gonna get $1,134. That means you paid this much when the actual cost was $4,000. That means you paid an extra amount of money. So we paid $1,134 more than we were supposed to. This is why sometimes we pay in full or we pay in cash. Okay? So sometimes when you guys ask for a loan in the future, just be careful you guys are not paying a lot more than you need to. So now let's focus on simple interest. When we focus on simple interest, we have the interest, which is going to be in dollars. Then we have the principal, which is the initial amount or whatever money you invest or you begin with, which is also going to be in dollars. Then we have the rate. For the rate, we would always want to convert it to decimals. Okay, and just let's do a quick reminder. When you do a percentage to a decimal, we convert by jumping that decimal 2 spaces to the left. Okay, so let's do an example. Let's say we have 20%. Okay, so let's take off the percentage off. So now we have 20, and our dot is right here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna jump 2 times to the left. which means we will have a 0.20 decimal, okay? Now, when we focus on time, we're gonna definitely focus on years, okay? So if you're ever given, let's say if you're ever given 36 months, make sure you convert that into years. So another way of doing that is just dividing it by 12, because that's how many months are in 1 year. So that means you would get 3 years. Okay? Remember, this is really important. Keep it in years, okay? So now let's do a couple examples together. Let's write down the equation. Oops, sorry about that. PRT. Okay, we are given the P, so let's replace that. We're given the 8%, but since it's a percentage, let's make that into a decimal. So we'll have 0.08. And then we have 3 years. Since it's already in years, it's going to remain the same, okay? So one thing I want you guys to see is that since P, R, and T are together, we know immediately that it's multiplying, okay? So the symbol that we're going to use right here is multiplying to solve for our interest. Okay, so when we multiply all those numbers together, we're going to get hold up, just solving it real quick. We will have $138 of interest. Okay. So now I'm gonna have you guys do the next one by yourselves. So I'm gonna give you guys some time to pause the video and work this by yourselves, okay? All right, so hopefully you guys solved it by yourselves. So let's do this, okay? We know we have the interest. So that's gonna be 204. We know we have the principal of 1,700. But we don't know what the rate is, right? So we're just gonna replace it with the R as a variable. And we know we have 6 years, RT. So the first thing we should do is just multiply our numbers. So we're gonna drop down the 4, and 1,700 times 6 equals 10,200. And when you multiply with R, it's gonna be 10,200 R. Now the next step, this is a one-step equation. Now to get the R by itself, we're gonna divide that 10,200 on both sides. That cancels out. So our R is gonna be, let's see, 204 divided by 10,200. We get 0.02. But now that we want the rate, now that we're looking for the interest rate, we want to convert that back into a percentage. So our R is going to equal, remember, if you jump 2 spaces to the left to convert from percentage to a decimal, you're going to do the opposite if you want decimal to percentage. So you're going to jump 2 spaces to the right. So we're going to get 2% equals our interest rate. Okay, nice job, you guys. All right, so now let's do a few of these. These are going to get a little more challenging, I'll be honest with you. So looking at this one, find the simple interest. That means we don't know what I is. But you invested $500. So we know we started with $500. And in a savings account of 3.25%. So we have 3.25%. And if you said we needed to convert that, you are correct. So we would get 0.0325. And then we have 3 years. So So now we're going to put this into an equation. We're looking for the I. We have the principal. We're going to multiply it by 0.0325 times 3, which at the end we'll get $48.75. Okay, so this one would be a little more challenging. If you borrow $12,000 for 30 months at 6.5% interest, what is the total amount you will have to repay? So for this one, we're looking for the total amount, not just the simple interest. So for this one, we know we borrowed $12,000, so we started with that, okay? And remember, we have 30 months, but we don't want months, we want years. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna convert that into years, okay? Divided it by 12, which would equal 2.5 years. Now we have an interest rate of 6.5%. And again, we're going to convert that, so we'll get 0.065. All right, now our job is to put this back into the equation. So we know we have $12,000 times 0.065 times 2.5, which is going to get us, if you give me one quick second, let me solve that real quick. We'll get $1,950 as our interest. But that does not mean that's our total amount. Okay, so our total amount is going to be our interest plus your principal. Okay, so we know our interest is going to be $1,950 plus the $12,000 that we borrowed, which at the end is going to equal which at the end is going to equal $13,950. That's how much in total you're going to be paying. Your principals, the money you borrowed, plus the interest. Okay?